Hello there, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be answering another Instagram question. This person asks, Lissa, do you have to be all raw to be a healthy vegan? So let's talk about that in this video. Thank you so much for joining me today for this video. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me here. We're going to be talking about if you have to be raw to be a healthy vegan. But before we begin, we've got 40% off any or all of our raw vegan recipe ebooks. So if you're looking to add more raw food to your diet, again, we're going to talk about that in this video, but you don't have to be a raw vegan to enjoy more raw vegan meals. And we have tons of them, from burgers to soups and stews and meal plans and tacos and party food, all kinds of stuff, all 40% off with code RAWFOOD40. The link is in the description box below or right here on the screen. So let's talk about this. Do you have to be a raw vegan to be a healthy vegan? My answer to this is no. You do not have to be a raw vegan to be a healthy vegan. There are so many vegans out there who are not fully raw people, and you do not have to be fully raw to experience health and healing. And I know some people might feel a little irritated by that statement, but I personally choose an all raw diet. There are some things that I eat that aren't raw, like cashews aren't raw, and nutritional yeast isn't raw, maple syrup isn't raw, that kind of thing. You know, little things that aren't considered technically raw. But my meals are not cooked and I don't eat cooked food. So I choose that because I want to eat raw food and I love raw food. It is one of my passions and I enjoy it a lot. I don't do it because I have to in order to be healthy. The thing is, healthy vegans do eat a lot of raw food. Raw food is really important for a healthy diet because we're getting the raw plant exactly the way nature intended it to be eaten, and there's lots of water and hydration in there. There is a solid fiber that's really good for our gut microbiome, and a lot of the nutrients stay intact and aren't changed when you cook them. There are some things like proteins actually fuse together when you heat them. The longer you heat them at higher temperatures, the more they can fuse. So you're not actually going to use the same amount of protein in a cooked item as you would in a raw item. But that's not to say that there's still a little bit of protein in the cooked food. It's not to say that all the nutrition disappears as soon as you cook food. Yes, there's still nutrition in cooked food. It's just that some people prefer to eat all raw, and that's totally cool. The goal is to add more raw to our diets. Add more raw, make bigger salads, add more fresh food to your stir fries or your sandwiches or what have you. Eat more raw and less of the cooked food. But cooked food isn't evil or toxic or poisonous. And I know there's some people out there who do say that, but I personally don't believe that it is. I don't eat it because I prefer how I feel on raw, but that doesn't mean that cooked food is poisonous or toxic. It's just a different form. And yes, some nutrients are released when you cook it, they disappear, but it's not complete. Nothing's an absolute when it comes to this. It's not all cooked food is toxic. There's a lot of really unnecessary cooked foods like Doritos or potato chips. Those aren't necessary and they are cooked and they could be vegan, but they're not necessary and they're not healthful. But having some steamed broccoli with a little bit of quinoa in a massive giant raw salad is going to be healthy. And there's plenty of people who are reversing cancer, still eating cooked food. They are losing weight, still eating cooked food. They're still eating a little bit of cooked food, but they're probably eating a lot of raw food. And the blue zone population still had a little bit of cooked food too. But again, it really depends on where you want to go and how you feel with the cooked food. If you feel better eating raw, then eat more raw. It's really that simple. So you don't have to be fully raw 100% if you want to be healthy. Now, some people might feel better, like myself, on raw, so that's more ideal. But that does not mean that everybody has to be 100% raw. And I know, again, that irritates some people. It used to irritate me in my early days of raw. I was like, no, raw is the most amazing thing in the world. And I believe raw is the most amazing thing in the world, but I do see a lot of people under eating on a raw diet. And sometimes, depending on where you live and your food availability, you might need to include a little bit of cooked food into your diet to make sure that you get enough calories. Because it's not just eating raw food, it's also making sure that you're eating enough calories and you're getting a wide variety of food. Limiting your food intake and limiting your variety is going to limit your nutrition. So working with that and where you're at and where you want to go, and just experimenting with the levels of it to see how you feel your best. But again, as we talked about in the last video, eat enough, eat variety, and eat whole. Whether that's raw or a little bit of cooked food added is not going to be the end of the world if you have like a little baked sweet potato with your salad. It's not the end of the world. Work on where you feel your best and go from there. So I don't want people to feel guilty for eating a small amount of cooked food, especially if they're eating a huge, wide variety of raw foods and big salads and that kind of thing. It's better to do something than to do nothing. It's much better to choose raw because you want to instead of because you have to. Remember, our mental health comes into play when it comes to our relationship with food. So doing things because we're scared of cooked food or what have you is going to cause issues down the road and isn't really great for our mental health. So work with where you're at and do the best that you can. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can click the little bell if you want to get notifications sent directly to you whenever I post a new video. And you can get 40% off any or all of our raw vegan recipe ebooks. So again, you do not have to be a raw vegan to enjoy more raw food. I think we should all be eating more raw food. So enjoy that 40% off. The code is rawfood40. The link is right here on the screen or in the description box below. Until the next video, guys, I love you all, and don't worry about not being all raw. If you want to be all raw one day, that's cool too, but make sure that you eat enough, you eat variety, and you eat whole. Until the next one, I love you and fruit on.